Hello, welcome to Technoveda Solutions.
In this video, we will discuss about the concept of inheritance. So let's begin. So there are different types of inheritance we can have. That is single level, multi-level, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and hybrid inheritance. These are the five types of inheritance we have. Then we have something called as mode of inheritance. When we inherit the base class to the derived class, while inheriting we have to give how we are going to inherit, whether we are going to inherit in the public mode, private mode, or protected mode. Now if we inherit in the public mode, then all the public members of the base class will remain as a public in the derived class, but the protected members of the base class will remain as a protected class in the derived class. Public class will remain as a public, protected will remain as a protected, and private does not participate in inheritance. Now, if we inherit in the protected mode, in that case, what happens? Public members of the base class also become protected members in the derived class. That means both public and protected in the from the base class will become protected in the derived class. Similarly, if we inherit the private mode, then the public and protected members of the base class will become private in the derived class. Now, once they become private in the derived class, then they cannot participate in the further inheritance. So, the same thing is illustrated here in the table form. We can see here horizontal we have a mode of inheritance, and this is base class definition of the member. Now if the base class it is public and if we inherit in public mode, then it will remain as a public. If in the base class it is public, if we inherit in the protected, it becomes protected. If we inherit in private, it becomes private. Similarly, if the definition is protected in the base class and if we inherit in the public mode, then it will remain protected. And if we inherit in the protected mode, it remains as a protected. But if we inherit in the private mode, then it becomes a private in the derived class. Whereas the private members of the base class do not participate in the inheritance. Okay, this is how the mode of inheritance will affect the members. Now, in single level inheritance, from one base class, we are deriving one derived class, either in the public, private, or protected mode. Any mode can be used. So this is the general syntax. Derived class, class is a keyword, then derived class name, then colon, then access mode, one of these three, then the name of the base class. Then we will have a body of the class. Then if you see an example here, class base is the name of the base class. Then when we want to derive a class D1, then we are mentioning the mode that is in the public mode of the base class. This is how a single level inheritance work. Now, in multi-level inheritance, from one base class, we are deriving the first level of derived class. Then from the derived class, another class is derived. However, all the three modes can be used here also. So now for example, if we see here class base class, and D1 is derived from this base class, then D2 is derived in turn from D1. So now the public members of the base class are available in both the classes D1 and D2. Okay, and similarly protected are also available. Now suppose if the mode of derivation is protected, then the public members of the base class will also become protected in the derived class. But if we inherit in the private mode, then what happens? The public and protected members of the base class become private in the derived class, that is in the level 1. Then what happens? Those functions will not participate in inheritance in the further level. That means in the class D2, the members of base will not be available. Only the members of D1 will be inherited to the D2, because base class members have become private in D1. So they will not inherit to the D2. So this is how multi-level inheritance work. Then in multiple inheritance, we have multiple base classes and we derive one class from multiple base classes. More than one base classes are used to derive one class. So class, derived class, name of that, then colon, then access mode, and then base class 1, access mode, base class 2. Like that we can have any number of base classes. Only one class is derived from multiple base classes. Again, inheritance mode can be any of these three, and they can be different for different base classes also. Now here you can see an example, class B1 and class B2. Two base classes have been defined, and D1, that is derived class, it derived from base class 1 as well as base class 2. That means the D1 will have the members of both B1 and B2, that is public and protected members of B1 and B2. Both will be available in D1 now. So we can get both the functions from both the classes available in derived class using a multiple inheritance. Then we have a hierarchical inheritance. In this, what happens? From one base class, we derive multiple classes. Here we have a multiple derived class from the same base class. So we define one base class. From that, we derive multiple base classes D1, D2, and D3 like that. So all of these derived classes will have the members of base class. All the three inherited classes or derived classes. Now if you see here, we can either inherit in a public or private or protected. Based on that, the further inheritance will be changing. One more important thing, now when we inherit in the public, okay, so they will be available for inheritance, no doubt. And also when we inherit in the protected, they will also available in the further inheritance. Then what's the difference between protected and public inheritance? The difference lies, if we inherit in the protected mode, then the member of the base class which are inherited in the protected mode, those members cannot be accessed from outside this class. They cannot be accessed from the outside this class. Now both public as well as protected members of the base class convert themselves into a protected members of this D3. Then those members cannot be accessed from outside this class. But if they are public, then we can access them from outside this class. That's the difference between base class and derived class when we have a public and protected inheritance. Then finally we have one more inheritance, that is a hybrid inheritance, or it is also termed as a virtual inheritance. This inheritance is a combination of more than one type of inheritances, what we just discussed. Then we call that as a hybrid or a virtual inheritance. Okay, that's it in this video. Thank you. Please like the video, subscribe the channel, and share the video.